Have you ever worked so hard to save money that you forgot why you were saving it in the first place? There was a young man named Daniel who learned the hard way that saving money without purpose is like digging a hole just to fill it back up again. Daniel was 29 years old and worked as an accountant in a medium-sized company downtown. Every morning, he took the same crowded bus, sat at the same gray desk, and calculated numbers for other people's money. His salary was decent, $3,500 a month. Not rich, but not poor either. Most people would say he was doing fine. But Daniel had a secret obsession. He was terrified of being broke. This fear lived inside him like a shadow that grew darker every year. When he was 12, his father lost his job during an economic crisis. Daniel remembered watching his mother cry quietly in the kitchen, counting coins, trying to figure out how to buy food for the week. He remembered the shame of wearing torn shoes to school while other kids laughed. He remembered feeling powerless, small and scared. That memory never left him. So when Daniel started earning money, he made himself a promise. He would never be poor again. He would save every dollar he could. He would be smart, disciplined, and safe. He opened a savings account and named it Emergency Fund. Every month, without fail, he transferred exactly $1,000 into that account. Rain or shine, sick or healthy, the money had to go in. At first, it felt good. Watching the numbers grow gave him a sense of control. After 6 months, he had $6,000. After a year, $12,000. After 2 years, $24,000. The account became his pride, his security blanket, his proof that he was different from his father. But something strange began to happen. The more money Daniel saved, the more afraid he became of spending it. When his laptop broke and started shutting down randomly during work, he told himself it could last another year. When his only winter coat tore at the shoulder, he used safety pins to hold it together. When his coworker invited him to a weekend trip with friends, he said no because it cost $200. His life became smaller and quieter. He stopped going out. He stopped trying new things. He ate the same cheap meals every day, rice, beans, and canned vegetables, because they were affordable. He walked 40 minutes to work instead of taking the bus to save $3. His friends slowly stopped inviting him anywhere because he always said no. One cold Friday evening, Daniel sat alone in his small apartment, eating plain rice from a plastic container, staring at his phone. His coworkers had just posted pictures from a dinner celebration. They looked happy, laughing, enjoying life. Daniel felt a sharp pain in his chest, not from sickness, but from loneliness. He opened his banking app and looked at his savings account. $31,000. It sat there, untouched, growing by tiny amounts of interest each month. He should have felt proud, but instead, he felt empty. What was the point of all this money if he never used it? What was he saving for? A future emergency that might never come? Or was he just afraid to live? That weekend, Daniel's younger sister Maya called him. She was excited and talked quickly. She had just gotten accepted into a photography workshop in another city. It was a 1-week intensive course taught by a famous photographer. The cost was $1,500, including travel and accommodation. Maya had been saving for months, but she was still $800 short. She asked Daniel if he could lend her the money. She promised to pay him back in 3 months. Daniel's first thought was no. $800 was a lot. What if she didn't pay him back? What if he needed that money for something important? But then Maya said something that stopped him cold. She said, "Daniel, I know you're good at saving money, but I don't want to be like you. I don't want to spend my whole life waiting to be safe. I want to use money to grow, to learn, to become better. If I don't take this chance now, I might never get it again." Those words hit Daniel like a truck. He sat in silence, phone in hand, staring at the wall. His little sister, who earned less than half of what he did, was braver than him. She understood something he had forgotten. Money was not meant to sit still. It was meant to move, to work, to create value. That night, Daniel couldn't sleep. He lay in bed thinking about his $31,000. What had it done for him? Nothing. It just sat in an account, losing value every year because inflation was eating it away. While he was saving, prices were rising. His money was worth less today than it was 2 years ago, even though the number looked bigger. He thought about Maya. She wanted to invest in herself, in her skills, in her future. And suddenly, Daniel realized his mistake. He had been saving money, but he had not been investing in anything. Not in his health, not in his skills, not in his relationships, not even in his own happiness. Monday morning, Daniel did something he had never done before. He transferred $800 to Maya. Then he did something even more unusual. He went to a small coffee shop near his office, the one he always walked past because it was too expensive, and bought himself a proper breakfast, a warm croissant, fresh orange juice, and good coffee. It cost $12, and for the first time in years, he felt alive. But that small action was not enough. Daniel knew he needed to change his entire mindset. That evening, Daniel sat down with a notebook and wrote a question at the top of the page. What is money actually for? He wrote down his thoughts. Money is for living. Money is for growing. Money is for solving problems. Money is for creating opportunities. Money is a tool, not a goal. Saving money without purpose is like hoarding tools you never use while your house falls apart around you. Then he made a new plan. He would keep some savings, yes, but only 3 months of living expenses for real emergencies. The rest he would invest. Not in stocks or complicated things he didn't understand yet. First, he would invest in himself. The next day, Daniel signed up for an online financial planning course. It cost $400. His old self would have screamed, but his new self understood. If he learned how money actually works, he could make smarter decisions for the rest of his life. That $400 could return $10,000 in better choices. 2 weeks later, he bought a new laptop. Not the cheapest one, but a good quality one that would last years and help him work better. $600. He also bought a proper winter coat and threw away the torn one held together with pins. Then he did something bolder. He started a small side project. Daniel was always good with numbers and organizing finances. He created simple budget templates and started offering freelance bookkeeping services to small local businesses on weekends. He invested $300 in a simple website and some advertising. The first month he earned only $50, barely anything. But the second month he earned $200. The third month, $400. It was not much, but it was growing. More importantly, he was learning real business skills. He was networking, meeting people, building something. Maya came back from her photography workshop glowing with energy and new ideas. She showed Daniel her work, professional quality photos that made his heart swell with pride. She had learned techniques in 1 week that would have taken years to figure out alone. She immediately got 3 paid photography jobs from contacts she made at the workshop. Within 2 months, she had earned back the $1,500 and more. She hugged Daniel tightly and thanked him, but Daniel was the one who felt grateful. Maya had taught him the most important lesson. Investing in the right things at the right time creates value that multiplies. 6 months passed. Daniel's life looked completely different, not because he became rich, but because he changed how he used money. His freelance bookkeeping business was now earning him an extra $800 a month. He used some of that money to take a weekend trip with friends, finally accepting their invitations. He used some to buy books and courses that taught him about investing, real estate, and building wealth. He started putting money into a low-cost index fund, $200 every month, not hiding it in a bank account where inflation would slowly kill it, but putting it into assets that historically grew 7 to 8% per year. He also started investing in his health. He bought a gym membership and actually used it 3 times a week. He bought fresh vegetables and learned to cook properly. His energy increased. His mind became clearer. He felt stronger and happier. One quiet Sunday afternoon, Daniel sat in a cafe, the same one where he bought that $12 breakfast a year ago. He was working on his laptop, managing his freelance bookkeeping clients, checking his investment portfolio, and planning his next course to learn about real estate. A young man at the next table was talking loudly on his phone, complaining about how he could never save money, how life was too expensive, how he was stuck. Daniel smiled quietly, remembering when he used to think the same way. He wanted to walk over and tell that young man the truth, that the problem is not how much you earn, the problem is how you think about money, that saving without purpose is a prison, that investing with knowledge is freedom. But he knew people have to learn this lesson themselves, just like he did. You cannot force wisdom on someone who is not ready to receive it. Daniel finished his coffee, closed his laptop, and walked outside. The sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. He felt gratitude, not because he had become rich, because he had not. He felt gratitude because he had become free, free from fear, free from the trap of endless saving, free to use money as a tool to build the life he actually wanted. And as he